Welcome back to Winners and Losers, everybody. I'm back from a little hiatus in Devon. I'm joined by Zachary Jalab. Zachary, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Yeah, not too bad, not too shabby. How was Devon? How are the beaches?
Yeah, oh mate, the weather was just outrageous. Beaches were good, played a bit of golf. We were at Clash of the Creators yesterday with old Kieran Hamill, Kieran Carlin.
Yeah, I was. They lost first round. They lost the first game and then lost on penalties. So just like in true FD fashion, they came last.
Perfect. And even worse is that he's now done his wrist and can't play five-a-side for us on Tuesday.
Yeah, his thumb is very bruised. Yeah, Sonny's going to have to go in goal because I'm in Bournemouth.
Howling. What an absolute stinker. Anyway, let's move on to some serious football chat. This is transfer winners and losers, and the main headline transfer everyone's talking about right now is Raphael Varane to Manchester United, and I'm the most pessimistic fan when it comes to transfers, when it comes to Manchester United signing players, but even I have to say now, this one's pretty much done and dusted, isn't it, Jalab?
Yeah, indeed. It looks very close. As you said, Manchester United are on the verge of completing a €50 million deal, according to multiple sources on Sunday night. Yeah, Mohamed Bouhafsi was the first to break the news for an update. He's the chief football writer at French publication RMC, which is quite tier one for stories like this. He tweeted, Manchester United have started negotiations with Real Madrid for the transfer of Raphael Varane. The two clubs have been exchanging for several hours. Man United asked Madrid's expectations. This week will be decisive. We've also seen some people say that it could be announced as quickly as today. However, I'm not so sure on that happening.
Unconvinced.
He is supposedly meant to be at training right now with Real Madrid. This is also big because it was said that United would only begin negotiations once a deal was agreed fully with Varane, and United were convinced. Mohamed and RMC is basically the inside man for all French footballers and only really tweets when it's nailed on. So it's kind of like 95% done. Yeah. The news has obviously been fed into France because Le Parisien then reported that a €45 million fee plus add-ons were ready to be agreed upon. After Mohamed's tweet, more news outlets seem to be fed information. Marca ran this on their front page this morning. Hot is the headline on screen right now, as the article claims that the deal is done for €50 million and that Varane will join United officially this week. I mean, it's good news for you, Joe, isn't it, mate?
I mean, I am so excited as a Manchester United fan. It almost feels, I'm sure Manchester United fans will agree with me on this one, too good to be true. To be able to get a player of Raphael Varane's quality at the peak of his powers for €50 million, I understand the contract situation, seems too good to be true when United have struggled so badly with centre-back partners and centre-back situations over the last few years. And obviously Fabrizio Romano, he took to YouTube last night, actually. If you haven't already followed Fabrizio, what are you doing on YouTube? Go and watch that video, because he basically says that it's a very special situation here. Raphael Varane has his heart set on a move to Manchester United now. He's won everything there is to win at Real Madrid, and he just simply wants a new challenge. I think Fabrizio uses the words, it's a special opportunity for Raphael Varane. Now, in England, not too many journalists tweeting about this, not too many journalists writing articles, especially the reliable ones, and I kind of think the reason for that is that they probably get their information from Manchester United, and Manchester United, because they've been burnt in the past when it comes to Real Madrid transfers, are probably a little bit sceptical and a little bit concerned about putting things out into the press. If it then goes wrong, you look quite stupid. Although BBC football writer Simon Stoney, who is extremely reliable for Manchester United, did say the other day that a deal was expected to happen. Now, this is a move that's been a long time coming. United first agreed a deal with Raphael Varane in 2011 when he was, of course, at Lens for €3 million. And in Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography, he talks about catching the train down with David Gill to wrap that deal up at €3 million. And whilst he was on the train, Real Madrid used Zinedine Zidane as a secret ambassador to go and get a contract signed in person in France while Sir Alex was on the train. So this has been an awful long time coming. But it has to be said, everything is pointing to this deal looking like it's going to happen. Now, Varane has gone and joined CAA, which is an English-based agency with lots of Premier League connections. He wants a new challenge. His contract is up. Real Madrid need the money for the Mbappe operation, as it's been called. And I have to say, it feels on paper like the perfect partner for Harry Maguire as well. I'm sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be absolutely delighted if this one happens. And I want to hear from you guys at home. If United were to sign Raphael Varane, and you look at that back four as potentially being Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Shaw, where does that rank amongst the Premier League's top four defences? Because I think that's right up there, Jalab. I think in terms of balance, with Luke Shaw being the slightly more advanced option on the left, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka maybe slotting into a back three when that happens, and Varane playing at the heart of that, I think that is really exciting. And if this news gets announced today, I might well lose my mind. It has to be said.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't disagree. I think it'd be a fantastic signing. The fact that you would sign Jadon Sancho and Varane makes it an incredible summer. If you then go and sign a central midfielder or a DM, it makes it the perfect summer that you could possibly look for. My maybe one concern about him is his injury record. At times a bit patchy. And obviously you guys at times can suffer injuries with some of your players, but I mean but you've got a decent medical team to kind of deal with that. And yeah, getting him for 50 million euros is an absolute snip. It's an absolute bargain.
And even David Ornstein just got in on the action 2 minutes ago, tweeted, Manchester United increasingly confident of signing Raphael Varane from Real Madrid for a fee of less than 50 million euros. This is actually going to happen.
And it also, right, just off the top of my head, like, it makes you think that, like, surely Paul Pogba's, like, because obviously there were rumours about him leaving, surely he sits there now and goes, well, Raphael, my teammate from my international teammates coming, I might have to stay around a little bit longer, see what happens here, because it's actually really scary. The idea that you guys could have a midfield next summer, or the defence that you mentioned, that's fantastic. An attack that is Cavani or Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, and Jadon Sancho on the right wing. A midfield of Bruno, Pogba. And if you go and get a DM, it's really, really good. It's if I'm a United fan, I'd be very, very, very happy.
Come on, United.
Moving on to our winners of this weekend, it's got to be Borussia Dortmund as they look to sign Donyell Malen.
Yeah, I mean, this fee seems really low. It's another Borussia Dortmund classic, isn't it? Obviously selling Jadon Sancho for about £73 million and replacing him with Donyell Malen, who's coming through the door at about 25 million quid, and I'm sure that's going to leave a lot of Liverpool fans very upset, because the Reds on my timeline were extremely keen to see Donyell Malen come through the door. Fabrizio Romano, though, yesterday tweeting that the first part of the paperwork had been signed and completed, and it would be finalised once the medical had taken place. It's expected that will be today. Now, Arsenal are set to receive 250k from this deal. Of course, Donyell Malen once played in the Arsenal academy. That's nothing to do with a sell-on clause, though. I believe that is sort of a set fee for academy players that leave before a certain age, no matter what happens when they move on. Eventually, the parent club, the original ownership club, do get some money. So I think that's the reason they haven't just put in a 0.5% sell-on clause in there, despite what people were tweeting. But this seems like a really good signing, a smart move. He's going to be able to operate across that front three in the absence of Jadon Sancho, who could also do the same. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him move on in about 3 years' time, when he's a little bit older, a little bit more mature, 25 years of age, to a super club, Zach.
Yeah, the BVB route at the moment. Yeah, the 22-year-old last season finished as the second top goal scorer in the Eredivisie with 19 goals. I think about 8 assists as well. And then obviously shone at the Euros for the Netherlands. Didn't necessarily start every single game, but when he came off the bench, he was very good, and then was eliminated, obviously, by the Czech Republic in the round of 16. Maybe the kind of only shining light in that Netherlands squad. Malen, though, as you kind of said, is set to join up with the BVB training camp tomorrow, as Dortmund prepare to take on Bologna in a friendly match on Friday. Bild have even asked Marco Reus what they thought about Malen, which he said, in the end, hopefully the same quality as Jadon. If Donyell is the one, then we look forward to having him. He is set to sign a 5-year contract with Dortmund. However, talks about what his release clause is in the future is not known yet, and that will be public knowledge maybe once the deal is announced. Joe, one quick question for you. Obviously, he's been playing in the Eredivisie, and the Bundesliga is a step up for him. Do you think he'll be able to kind of reproduce Jadon Sancho's numbers?
I mean, it's a big ask to produce at what Jadon was going at, which is like a goal a game, or a goal and assist a game, sorry. But I don't necessarily think he'll need to produce those sort of numbers. As long as he's chipping in fairly regularly, I actually think Erling Haaland's numbers are only going to increase over the next couple of seasons. And you've still got Marco Reus there. Giovanni Reina, I'm sure, will continue to get better as well. So I don't think you have to produce necessarily at the rate Jadon was, and it's almost impossible to imagine him being able to do that. But never say never, because we all like Daniel Malen at Football Daily, and I think we all think that this is a very, very cheap fee for a player of his quality. Moving on to the losers, and this one, we're going to have to say, I guess, like Lyon. I don't really think they're losers because they were going to sell him anyway, but Joachim Andersen joining Crystal Palace, I really wanted to talk about this one, Jalab, so we've kind of shoehorned it in.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you are right. Lyon, I guess, are our losers, and they seem to have sold Joachim Andersen to Crystal Palace for around £20 million. The 25-year-old, obviously, last season spent the season on loan with Fulham in the Premier League, and even though Fulham were relegated, he did impress during that season. And he was also targeted by several clubs this summer, including Spurs. However, Fabrizio Romano has given it the here we go, tweeting that he's signing a deal in South London until 2026. Now, the whole reason that Lyon have to sell him and having to sell and let go of a few players at the moment is due to financial difficulties, which has actually seen Palace act quickly and capitalise, agreeing a fee that I actually think Lyon won't be too happy with, as they probably expected a little bit more money than £20 million. But at this rate, they kind of have to accept what they're offered. But yeah, I mean, Palace, Joe, they're doing all right business at the moment, aren't they?
I mean, I can't believe the business Palace are doing. If we're talking about Manchester United at the moment, with the Varane signing having a sort of A summer, we're talking about Palace having an A+ summer right now. I mean, Mark Guehi, Elise, and Joachim Andersen for sub £50 million is remarkable transfer business, and I think it's a real shift in sort of attitude from the Crystal Palace hierarchy towards their signings. I know that Gary Cahill looks like he's probably not going to sign that new contract. I think he rejected the offer. But over the last couple of seasons, we've seen the likes of Eze come through the door. Now we're seeing Guehi, we're seeing Elise. And Joachim Andersen was very much in Tottenham Hotspur's plans as a potential central defensive option. Yes, he might not have been their first choice. It seems like they're going to go for Christian Romero. They're going to go for the Bologna lad that I forget the name of. And it has to be said, this is exciting. If I was a Palace fan, I'd be absolutely buzzing with these signings. My one concern remains, can Patrick Vieira get the best out of him? Because we're maybe on the fence about Patrick Vieira to Crystal Palace, but even if Vieira doesn't work and doesn't last, a lot of these signings are future prospects that are only going to improve. You know, Guehi and Elise in particular, Eze as well. Joachim Andersen is only 25, so we saw how good he was for Fulham last season, brings real leadership to this side. I think Crystal Palace have had a stunning start to the summer. They still need a creator. They still need a goal scorer. I'm not sure Benteke, despite the fact he had that sort of mini resurgence, is the guy up front. So if they can get a striker through the door, and if they can get somebody to replace Eze, who's seemingly going to be out for the entire year now, I would be really confident about Palace having a good season. And I'd be very excited if I was Patrick Vieira, I think, Jalab.
Yeah, I mean, as you kind of mentioned, Patrick Vieira is the kind of the oddball there. We just have no idea how he's going to be, especially in the Premier League, right? But he has all the kind of players at his disposal to be good. Last season, they kind of the Palace squad was getting very old, and they've let go of Andros Townsend, Van Aanholt, James McCarthy, Nathaniel Clyde, and replaced them with this kind of young injection, which is, as you said, for Palace fans, fantastic to see. They won't be complaining. But yeah, Patrick Vieira, we've just not seen enough of him yet, and I'm sure obviously his first game is against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. That'll be Mark Guehi's first game in the Premier League as well, facing his old club. And so, like, if he can pull off a result there or get something from that, I'm sure that every Palace fan will be over the moon. Obviously, that's not to be expected. Everyone kind of would think that Chelsea would win that, but if they can give him a game, then that'll start off Palace fans with some happiness, I hope. Otherwise, I could just kind of see it being either Patrick Vieira going first as manager, or the Watford one, whose name I forget, begins with an X. It's like Cisco, I think, something like that. But yeah. I mean, right now some pretty good deals, and if they can get someone in for to maybe score some goals instead of Benteke, they'll be doing fantastic. fantastically well. But that is the end of the video, Tomlinson, isn't it?
It is the end of the video. Very exciting stuff. It's going to be a very exciting day, or at least a very exciting week for Manchester United fans. I think let's get this Varane deal done. Get a defensive midfielder through the door. Anything you want to push to?
Why don't check us out on Snapchat, where we give you guys daily content on there, talking about the latest transfers over on Transfer Talk, and on We Need to Talk on Football Daily, we bring you the latest gossip around the world of football.
Lovely. Right, thanks very much for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye.